My tobacco story started when I was 13 years old.
Well, I've been smoking since the second grade.
I started smoking when I was 6 years old. I've been smoking for 42 years. My name is Tony Mitchell. I'm a peer educator of ECHO. My mom used to always have me light a cigarette. I don't know if she knows it was gonna be any harm to me or what, but I didn't know it was bad for your health until later on in my 20s.
Hi, I'm Kevin Poole. I've been a peer educator for 2.5 years now. When I was about 7 or 8, me and my friend, we started smoking cigarettes and thought it was cool.
I didn't like smoking that much until I started drinking and doing drugs. I really liked to smoke, especially when I started doing heroin. One of my favorite things to do was a shot of heroin, a cup of coffee, and a cigarette.
My tobacco use started when I was younger, but I was always a dipper.
When I first got here, I hadn't smoked for 18 months. Eventually, it was just so acceptable socially that I just started smoking all the time, smoking every day, to the point where it was even hindering me during my workouts, where my fingers were black. I was getting wheezy, waking up with chest pain and stuff like I used to on the streets.
There was one period in my life where I really started smoking frequently without drugs, and that's when I was in county jail. And this was back when smoking was permitted, and there was nothing else to do, and that's what everybody did. Everybody smoked.
I remember when they used to sell cigarettes in the facilities. I mean, it was crazy back in those days. And everybody would get their cigarettes. It was like the Great American Smokeout. I mean, that whole unit would be completely full of smoke. I mean, it's like, bad.
Once it stopped in the system, it seemed like that was more of a, people spend more money trying to get that actually than the drugs.
My name is Dan Duhigg, and I'm an addiction psychiatrist at the University of New Mexico with Project ECHO and the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences. It's hard to say what the most devastating effect of tobacco use is. Certainly from the point of view of nicotine, it will cause an addiction. It is a perfect chemical for an addiction if you were going to design one. So it causes a stimulant, euphoric, feel-good effect, and it has a very short active life.
So I'm Dr. Miriam Kamarami. I'm an Associate Director of Project ECHO, and I'm an internal medicine doctor and an addiction specialist. Tobacco is about the most dangerous drug there is. It's really true that the loss of life and the amount of sickness caused by tobacco is absolutely horrendous.
When tobacco is smoked, in the smoke are somewhere around about 4,000 different chemicals. Some of these have huge negative effects, like what's in the tar. And this affects a lot of different types of cells and what cells do throughout the body. And that's what causes strokes and many heart attacks. People who chew tobacco are far more likely to develop cancers and tumors in their mouth, like on their gums, under their tongue, and also down their esophagus or their food pipe when they swallow saliva that has those tobacco chemicals inside of it.
The number of people who die from tobacco addiction every day is the same as if you had 3 jumbo jets crashing every single day with everybody on board dying.
For me, the horror stories of tobacco in prison is when guys, you see them, they get these dip pouches that somebody else has had all up in their mouth and all this, and they're drying them out so that they can re-smoke the tobacco. It's disgusting.
When I was a kid dipping, my grandpa used to give it to me in the garden when we'd go out and work in the garden, and I'd get sick all the time. And my favorite place to puke was in the rhubarb because you couldn't see me puking over there.
It's a horror story. I see people that they spend so much money on tobacco that they go get their canteen, and all their canteen, their commissary goes to that guy, $100 worth,
I think the worst part about it is people stashing it in their ass. That's really unsanitary and not pleasant to think about. But I think that's also a part of the social environment. So I think that a lot of times we don't think about that a lot.
When I used to smoke a lot when I would drink. I'm kind of worried about going back to smoking because if I do, it might be a trigger for alcohol. So I might want to start to drink as well. So that kind of like worries me too as well.
Fortunately, we know quite a bit about how to stop smoking and what helps. Unfortunately, we don't have a magic bullet that works for absolutely everybody. I mean, probably the biggest part is really making up your mind that having really strong willpower and resolve to stop smoking is an incredibly important predictor of stopping.
One of the things that I think can help is to clarify people's values about their own health, about how they want to live their life, and explore any ways that their use of tobacco or nicotine is not consistent with their personal values.
Beyond that, we know that there are several types of medicine that help, and there's also a lot of benefit from counseling and from support groups.
I think over time, once I got used to it and used to it being so socially acceptable, I could start working on it again and working on quitting and distancing myself from that.
So if somebody is trying to quit and they smoke one cigarette, not throwing up your hands and saying, oh, it's all over with, I'm a failure, but instead saying, okay, time to pull myself back together and really just get back on the horse and try again. That's how people quit. Not 100% of the effects of tobacco are reversible if you stop, but a lot of the really big bad effects go away over time. So about 10 years out, someone's risk of a heart attack is kind of back to the normal population rate, and similarly the lung cancer rate drops over the years after smoking. So someone can definitely have a big impact on improving their health by stopping smoking, and it starts almost immediately.
And I've thought about what's going to stop me from smoking, and I think the biggest thing is family.
I just try to be strong on that front, because I know it's going to be available, I know it's going to be there, and it's going to be hard because I see officers walking around in here with a big dip in their mouth, and I'm like, damn, I'd like to have one of those, but I don't know. I hope I can just walk away from it.
When I get out, I don't want to smoke because it's so expensive out there, and plus I have my 4-year-old son to think about, so I want to be there for him.
A lot of people aren't aware how dangerous tobacco is for their own health and their family's health, and they're also not aware of how much help there is out there to help you stop smoking. And almost anybody can stop smoking if they really make up their mind to do it and take advantage of all the great resources that are out there to help you.
I'm trying to live a different life now, so I wouldn't try to encourage anybody to do anything that was going to harm them.
No thanks. I've come too far to go back now.